yay. So now, instead of just hearing about puppets, we actually get to make something. That would be good. Let's make something together. So one of my favorite type of puppet making is called shadow puppetry. And this is one of my favorites because it's just so easy to do and you can make so many amazing things. Most people, I think, already know about shadow puppetry because we've been doing it since we were little, right? Laying in the bed with the flashlight up against the wall. And all you need, this is where we start. To get into our shadow puppet making, let's get our tools together first. Some simple tools that will be needed. 1, a pencil. Sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't. A pair of scissors. Some black paper. You can use plain white paper too, and it will have almost the same effect. Tape. You can of course just use regular Scotch tape. Any will do. And then you will also need a stick. This is like a skewer stick. Sometimes I use a coffee stirrer stick or a chopstick. And if you don't have any of those, it's still okay because you can just use a straw or your pencil. Okay, so we got it. Pencil, tape, paper, scissors, and we're ready to go. So a shadow puppet is called a shadow puppet because you just take a piece of paper, we hold it up to the light, and we have our puppet. That's the last tool that you're gonna need. A flashlight. And if you don't have a little cute flashlight like this, don't forget that you have one on your cell phone or your parent's cell phone if you ask them if you can use it. So first thing, I'm gonna take my piece of black paper or white paper if that's what you're using. I'm gonna do it without drawing anything first, just to show you how simple it can be. I'm just gonna fold my paper and I'm gonna make a shape. And this is a very simple, easy, recognizable shape. Step 1, get your black paper. Step 2, cut out your shape. We recognize it, yes? And step 3, this is if we're going, oh, so basic. You're gonna take your stick. You're gonna put it up against the back of your cutout paper. And then, yes, you can do this. You're gonna use one hand to hold it. It's better to work on the table so that the table can be an extra hand and you don't have to work in the air like I am doing. And then you're just going to place that on the back and voila, you have made your very own shadow puppet. And the next step would just be to test it. And if I take my light and I put it behind a piece of paper, I can see my shadow puppet glow. So there we have the most basic way to make a shadow puppet. But what if you want to get a little more complicated? What if you're like, I don't want to make a heart. I want to make something like a house that has windows. Well, now you're going to need your pencil and you can just draw your house. I like to draw a house by doing a triangle on top and a square at the bottom. You'll see. So once I draw my triangle at the top and my square at the bottom, I have my house and I'm cutting it out. Somebody's gonna want a chimney, so I'm just gonna go ahead and add a little rectangle on top of that triangle. And again, we have a very, very basic shadow puppet. But one of the things that makes shadow puppetry really cool is when you make space for the light to shine through. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold this just a little bit so that I can cut out a little space for the light to shine through. And now I have a house that has a window too. When you're practicing your shadow puppets that you make, you can take a piece of fabric, you can take a regular piece of paper in a piece of cardboard box, or you can just practice and shine it on the wall. I'll put my stick on the back with my piece of tape and it's done. And you can get even more complicated. What if you want the light to shine through in many places? Like this little girl here. Well, it just takes a little bit more patience and some special cutting tools. But this is what makes shadow puppetry look super cool. What if you think, I'm not that good of a drawer. I'm not so good at making things like that and knowing how to draw. It's okay. There's a simple way that you can cheat. And it's not even cheating. That you can accomplish the more complicated images. So, for example, if I wanted to make a shadow puppet of Dr. Martin Luther King, well, or anything else that comes to mind, I could just go to Google, type in Martin Luther King, and then there's a big word. Silhouette. And once you type in the word silhouette with anything that you want to make, it'll give you these pictures that are black and white, and all you have to do is cut it out for yourself. And then I end up with a super cool image of Dr. Martin Luther King, just by cutting out the white space on the paper and keeping the black space. This little girl playing with the ball, great. Same technique, a stick on the back, piece of tape, little girl playing, silhouette, and I cut it out, and voila. So far, you know how to make a very basic, simple shadow puppet. You know how to make a shadow puppet now that has some opening for the light to shine through, some spaces. But for those people who want to just go to the next level and say, I want to do more, I need a bigger challenge, there's also a way that you can take that puppet and actually make it so that it can move, or what's called an articulated joint. So that will be the last thing I show. You just need to take two pieces of your puppet. We'll just pretend like these are the two pieces, and overlap them with each other. And this one, you do need one little bit of a special tool, a little piece of wire or a paper fastener or a paper clip. I'm going to take a little piece of wire. It's so small, I don't even think you'll be able to see it. And I'm just going to push it through the two pieces of paper. That I cannot do in the air. It's helpful if you take a piece of something sharp to help you push it through, or a pair of scissors. But now that I have it pushed through, I'm just gonna bend it into a circle on one side. It doesn't have to be neat, you're just making a little knot. And I'm gonna bend it into a messy circle on the other side. Again, it's not neat, I'm just making a little knot. But look what it allows me to do. Now I have an articulated joint, which could become a crocodile mouth, or legs walking, or maybe it's an arm flexing a muscle. It can be whatever you want it to be. For me today, I wanted to take an image that was a little bit more complicated than I knew how to draw and cut her out in order to make my puppet. And then I decided that I also wanted to give her an articulated joint. And here we have it. You'll need 2 sticks if you want to do the articulated joint. And that's it. Now you're fancy.